Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into one of the most fascinating intersections of ancient Himalayan mythology and modern military history. We're looking at a story where deep divine faith literally meets fierce battlefield valor. It all centers on a remote mountain shrine that commands the absolute, unquestioning devotion of some of India's toughest soldiers. Just picture this for a second. You've trekked deep into the pristine, quiet mountains of the Himalayas. You arrive at an ancient religious shrine, and, you're expecting to see traditional spiritual symbols. But instead, you are immediately greeted by the unmistakable insignia of the Indian Army's Kumaon Regiment. That's India's most decorated infantry regiment. It's a total visual anomaly. Why on earth is a peaceful spiritual retreat heavily adorned with the emblems of war and military might? Well, to figure that out, we first need to get a sense of where we actually are. We're looking at the Maa Haat Kalika Temple. It's nestled way up at an altitude of about 1,760 meters in the incredibly peaceful Deodar pine forest of Gangalihat, over in Uttarakhand. People actually call this area Mini Kashmir because the valleys, the waterfalls, the sheer natural beauty, it's just breathtaking. When you stand there, wrapped in that cool mountain air, smelling the pine trees, it feels completely disconnected from the chaos of the outside world. And yet, this serene spot is the epicenter of a very fierce, highly protective energy. And you can tangibly feel that energy through the Indian Army. As you walk through the temple complex, the military presence is just everywhere. The very entrance gate you pass through, built by and bearing the symbol of the 18 Kumaon Battalion. The Dharamshala, the rest house for pilgrims, was constructed by the 17 Kumaon. You'll see the name of the Kumaon scouts proudly displayed. But honestly, the most moving part? The thousands of brass bells echoing through the pine forests. Because each one of those bells is inscribed with the name of an individual soldier. There are even vibrant murals painted on the walls showing the regiment's victory in the 1971 Indo-Pak War. Okay, let's dive into this. To really make sense of this intense modern military devotion, we actually have to travel back in time. Over 1,000 years back, in fact. We need to look at the stark contrast between the temple's mythical 8th century origins and how it somehow evolved into a 20th century military patron. The origins of this site are rooted in fierce, ancient cosmic battles. According to the Skanda Purana, which is a really ancient text believed to be thousands of years old, this region used to be known as Darukavan. The texts talk about a time when a terrifying demon named Sumya was just wreaking havoc, literally defeating the gods themselves. So in response to their desperate prayers, goddess Durga took on the terrifying, powerful form of Mahakali to defeat Sumya and restore order, right here at this exact geographic spot. But here's the catch. Even after the demon was defeated, local lore tells us the goddess's wrath didn't just fade away. The temple actually had to be spiritually tamed and physically built in a pretty incredible sequence. First, back in the 8th century, the great philosopher Adi Shankaracharya visited the site. It said he used his spiritual power to calm the goddess's destructive anger. And as part of that calming process, the ancient practice of human sacrifice, which locals believe actually happened here, was stopped, replaced with animal sacrifice. Then, centuries later, the physical temple we see today was kicked off by a saint named Jungam Baba. He was struggling to find materials to build a proper shrine, right? Well, the goddess appeared in his dream, pointing him to a hidden quarry of unique green stones. He dug exactly where she said, found the stones, built a temple, and then, miraculously, the quarry was never found again. Let's move to and see how this builds into the modern era. Fast forward to the 20th century, and this ancient protector of the mountains was about to become the protector of the borders. A series of pivotal events completely forged this unbreakable bond between the Kumaon Regiment and Haat Kalika. It kicked off during the absolute chaos of World War II, solidified during the 1971 war, and continues with monumental acts of devotion well into the 1990s and even today. The real spark for all this modern devotion is this absolutely incredible survival story. During the Second World War, a ship carrying a large contingent of Kumaon Regiment soldiers got caught in a brutal, nasty storm in the Bay of Bengal. The ship suffered technical faults, water was pouring in, and it was quite literally on the verge of sinking. When all physical efforts to save the ship failed, the commanding officers basically told the men to pray to whatever deity they believed in. So the Kumaoni soldiers started fervently chanting to goddess Haat Kalika. And according to the veterans who survived that night, the exact moment they invoked her name, the storm inexplicably calmed down. The ship stabilized, and they miraculously made it to shore safely.
Ever since that day, the Kumaon Regiment officially adopted Haat Kalika as their Ishta Devi, their ultimate patron and guardian goddess.
And that brings us to this incredibly powerful phrase, Kalika Mata Ki Jai, victory to Mother Kalika. Listen, this isn't just a prayer. This is the official war cry of the Kumaon Regiment. When these soldiers charge into battle, whether we're talking about 1947, 1962, or 1971, this is the name on their lips. Veterans of the regiment have actually said that shouting this war cry fills them with this sudden, surging energy. It completely strips away their fear and replaces it with the fierce courage of the goddess herself. It's really the ultimate connective tissue between their spiritual faith and their battlefield valor. And this immense faith, it was validated on an unprecedented scale in 1971. 100,000. That's a massive number. That is the number of opposing soldiers who surrendered following a historic victory by the Indian Army during the Indo-Pak War. The Kumaon Regiment played an absolutely crucial role in this triumph, fighting with their trademark bravery, all under the banner of Haat Kalika. To honor this monumental victory, Subedar Sher Singh and his men didn't just offer a quick, simple prayer of thanks. No, they performed an act of staggering physical devotion. After the war, Kumaon soldiers acquired a huge, incredibly heavy ashtadhatu, which means an 8-metal bell, from Rawalpindi in Pakistan. And get this, they literally carried this massive bell on their shoulders, trucking all the way back up into the high Himalayas just to offer it to the goddess. It was also around this time that the regiment installed the very first formal idol of Mahakali inside the temple, which was later followed by an even larger one in 1994. But this devotion isn't just a thing of the past. It is a vibrant, everyday reality. If you visit the temple right now, you will see a constant stream of soldiers and locals engaging in real acts of reverence. They bring offerings of coconuts, fruits, and sweets. You'll see thousands of red chunaris. Those are scarves tied by devotees who hold a special wish in their hearts. During the Navratri festivals, that ancient tradition of animal sacrifice actually continues. And through all of this, an Akhand Doni, a perpetual holy fire, burns constantly. It's tended to by the resident Baba, who applies its ash to visitors to cure ailments and completely dispel their fears. So the crucial point is that this temple isn't just some historical memorial. The believers feel the goddess is actively present right now, which brings us to one of the most fascinating mysteries at Haat Kalika. Every single evening, the temple priests prepare a proper bed with fresh linens right inside the main sanctum. Then they lock the doors securely from the outside. Yet every single morning when those doors are unlocked, the bed is found mysteriously creased. The blankets are rumpled exactly as if someone has just woken up. For the devotees and the soldiers, this isn't just a myth. It is a daily, comforting reassurance that the goddess is physically resting there, keeping watch over them. It really leaves us with a profound image. High up in the Himalayan pines, surrounded by brass bells bearing the names of soldiers, an eternal flame burns right beside a mysteriously creased bed. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? As the soldiers of the Kumaon Regiment stand guard at India's most treacherous borders today, does the ancient, fierce goddess of Darukavan still actively watch over them? Whether you view it through the lens of divine intervention or just the incredible psychological power of shared faith, the bond between Haat Kalika and her soldiers remains one of the most captivating stories of faith and valor in the modern world. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.